The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
You are now logged into WarUp on the WPIAL, featuring your hosts Greg Warnock and Jeff Upson. PA Power Wrestling. Pennsylvania is wrestling.
Welcome into a brand new edition of WarUp on a WPIAL. Greg Warnock alongside Jeff Upson. Back after another week of wrestling action over the weekend. We saw some good tournaments at the Ironman and King of the Mountain. And Jeff, you got a chance to be at Ironman. Were you impressed with all the competition?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Overall, I mean, it's one of the, if not the best tournament in the nation, especially regular season wise. Had a lot of fun there. Got to see a lot of good action. WPIAL guys did well here. Pennsylvania overall did well. So yeah, I was really excited to be out there at Ironman.
For some folks who wonder, you mentioned this is one of, if not the best. How would you compare this with Powerade?
Yeah, I mean it's tougher than Powerade just because of the differences between Powerade and Ironman is Ironman, they let in a lot of partial teams, and a lot of like individual teams, so not necessarily full teams. Like you may just have one kid from one team come there, so that's how they can kind of get away with that. Other than Powerade, you're essentially letting an entire team into the tournament, so that's where the difference is. But it's just deeper. It has more nationally ranked kids in it.
Why can't Powerade do that?
In theory, they could. I don't think tournament director Frank Volcano's. I don't think he really necessarily wants to go down that road. I think he. And I personally also pride Powerade on the event where you bring the entire team, and he has close to. I mean, I forget what the total number is this year, but it's 50 some teams there. So I mean, Escape the Rock does a similar thing that Ironman does. So I mean, it's been done before. People do it, and Frank's done it too, where you let a single wrestler in. As opposed to just the entire team. So, I mean, I think it's on a case-by-case basis.
And usually he lets teams in because of a singular wrestler, too, sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, normally one or two guys that are notable that they'll let in. But they also have a JV tournament before Powerade and junior high tournament and youth tournament. So they're able to get a lot of teams from, youth all the way up to high school.
You look at some of the results from the Ironman tournament, the WPIAL had a finalist at 106 pounds. Mac Church, of Waynesburg, finishes in second place. He dropped a 6-3 decision to Mark Anthony McGowan of Blair Academy. Were you impressed with how well Mac wrestled all weekend?
Yeah, I was. I was impressed in the finals too against McGowan. McGowan's the top-ranked guy in the nation. He's a world champion in freestyle, so he's pretty darn good. In fact, last time they wrestled, Mark Anthony tore Mac Church up in freestyle, and this time, and I was able to talk to Mac before the finals, and he said, "Hey, I'm just trying to, improve and have a better result than last time," and he did. He actually opened up with the first takedown, but. McGowan is just, I mean, he's really good. But Mac Church is right there. You don't finish second at Ironman and not consider yourself top 5 in the nation. So he's definitely feeling pretty good after this tournament.
So is that where you see Mac Church as far as, nationwide, top 5?
I can't see how you're not top 5 if he finished top 2 at the Ironman tournament. I mean, and it's early in the year, and he didn't have the best Super 32, but I think that negates his Ironman performance negates that. So, I definitely think, if not top 10 in the nation for sure.
So you look at him in the future, because you look at these freshmen and you want to look at maybe freshman phenoms. Are we going to see a 4-timer? And not to put pressure on the young man, but when you look at him coming in, do you see him as somebody who could be a 4-timer, somebody who could be a 4-time Powerade champion? Is he able to at least start his freshman campaign with a lot of titles?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. 106 it's deeper this year in terms of guys. I don't think I haven't seen enough of him at the high school level to say, yes, I think he has a possibility to be a 4-timer. I think it's going to be difficult for him to win a state championship this year. Is he capable of winning a state championship? Absolutely. whether or not, I mean, I have to see him against some more WPIAL guys. Let's just put it that way. I've seen guys do well at the Ironman and get a lot of national recognition and then kind of fizzle out a little bit in the regular season just because of the grind of the competition. So Mac's going to have a lot of competition. Beast of the East next weekend. You're going to have Powerade the week after that. So that's a lot of test for him to go through. So and let's be honest, there's a lot of depth, I think, at the state level at 106 this year. So I don't want to say yes, he's going to be a 4-timer, but of course anything's possible.
His fellow freshman wrestler, Rocco Welsh, we talked a lot about him as well to start the season off, and he finished in 5th place here at 126 pounds, a deep 126. Nick Buzakis of Wyoming Seminary. Many of you may remember he wrestled in the Powerade tournament as an 8th grader from Lakeland Prep, Florida, and he won the tournament, knocking off a number of big-name guys, Bo Bayless and a couple others as well. He ends up winning the title, beats Ryan Crookham of Notre Dame GP, who also won a state title. So you're talking about a couple of big-name guys, and Welsh finishes in 5th place in this weight class. Yeah, I mean, it was a very deep weight class, 126 pounds was, and that final between Bazakis and Crookham was just a barn burner. I had a lot of fun watching that match. In fact, that was the premier match of the finals. It was the last one competed. So Crookham had a really good match, but Welsh, I was impressed. And, I had a couple people from outside of Pennsylvania ask me, hey, what's the deal with Rocco? How's he doing? I'm like, well, you can watch for yourself here. He's doing pretty well. He beat a couple really highly ranked seniors, including Chris Barnaby from Mount St. Joseph's in the 5th place match. So he's a freshman that is punching beyond his weight here. So I think he's going to be, despite the 5th place finish, people might say, well, it's 5th place. Yeah, but this is the Ironman. So I think he's in good shape. 132 pounds, Ali Herrera-Rondon, AHR at Seneca Valley, finishes in 3rd place. He gets upset in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, you called it an upset. I mean, he was the top seed here, but in reality, I mean, these guys were all pretty close. Drew Munch from Wyoming Seminary, who's a Pennsylvania guy from Stroudsburg, he had a really good tournament, but in the semifinals against Ethan Miller from Park Hill, I thought Ali kind of got a little bit of a bad call. It was in tiebreaker, and he had complete separation from Miller. In fact, I got to talk to Coach Kevin Wildrick, and he said, it was completely separation. It was like 1 to 2 feet of separation. The ref said it was continuous, which I don't think it was. I think, he probably should have won that match, but it just didn't come out that way. You can't leave it in the ref's hands. He should have gotten a takedown. He should have been more offensive. He left it up to the ref. So clearly that's, you have to do better. But, Ali, I thought did great coming back for 3rd. So he wasn't frustrated at all. He seemed very confident in coming back.
Yeah, you look at guys like that who don't lose very often. Did he seem upset after the match?
No. I mean, clearly, yeah, he was upset. Like, man, I wish I should have won that match. But I don't think he clearly wasn't like mortified by it. He seemed to have a good attitude about himself going into that 3rd place match. And like I said, he actually looked good. He scored some takedowns. I thought he looked good during Ironman. Other than that semifinal match where I thought he shut down a little bit, and it kind of came back to bite him. I think other than semifinals, he really opened up his offense. In fact, someone looked over at me at one point and said, Ali's up 7-0. There must be something wrong with the scoreboard. And, I kind of thought that was funny because they basically were insinuating he doesn't score points, right? So, yeah. I think he had a good tournament despite the 3rd place finish and despite being a top seed in this tournament. So, Ali's going to be just fine.
Maybe it's an eye-opening experience for him. Opens up, his offense and gets him now to wrestle a little bit. You don't want to say better because he's obviously a strong wrestler, but maybe he now feels like the pressure's off a little bit because he's got a loss.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, like I said, I think he's takes it in stride, and I think he has a really good attitude about it.
138 pounds. Tough weight class when you see Bo Bartlett of Wyoming Seminary finishing in 2nd place, but Wyatt Henson of Waynesburg finishes in 8th place here in the tournament.
Yeah, and he injury defaulted in the medal round match, and he had a tough match with Kenny Herman from Bethlehem Catholic. That was a heck of a match, and in the quarterfinals, and Herman was able to come away with a win, a very tight bout there. These two have some history. They wrestled at the Super 32 as well. Henson just wasn't able to put some things together. I think it was a good test for him, but I think he knows now what he needs to work on, and I think he's going to go into the Beast of the East kind of prepared to capitalize on the mistakes that he made maybe at the Ironman.
160 pounds. Waynesburg's Luca Augustine finishes in 4th place in another tough weight class. Dane Lawrence of Fraser, meanwhile, only able to go one bout.
Yeah, he got banged up after his first match. He won the match and then had to injury default out of the tournament. I don't know the extent of that injury, but I just know it was precautionary to keep him out. But the real story here is Luca Augustine. I thought he had a phenomenal tournament. I had a lot of college coaches asking me about Luca Augustine at the Ironman, asking what his deal was. And I had one coach say, well, he hasn't done anything in Pennsylvania. And I kind of laughed, and he kind of realized, he's like, oh, yeah, okay, I realized what I just said. Because, Luca's just, he's wrestled really, really well. And from what I'm told, he's a very bright student. So I think the sky's the limit for him in terms of where he wants to go. But yeah, 4th place finish at the Beast or at the Ironman was a very good finish for him. He had some nationally ranked guys there that he finished ahead of and knocked off. So very impressed with Luca.
And that's it for the WPIAL as far as medalists go. But any other notable wrestlers or guys who performed well in the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, Dylan Chappell had a really tough draw. He had Ryan Miller from Blair, who ended up finishing in the top 4. He had Gregor McNeil from Wyman St. Mary. So he had a really tough draw. So he probably wishes he could have had a few more bouts under his belt. But overall, I thought, the WPIL specifically, Seneca Valley, Waynesburg, I thought they wrestled well. Antonio Emilio wrestled well. Drew Vlasnik wrestled well. So this is not a tournament to be discouraged from your performance. This is the top tournament in the nation.
You see a guy like Dylan Chappell, a state runner-up a year ago, and not able to get on the medal stand. That tells you how tough it is. Yeah,
I mean, he wasn't there last year either. He didn't.
That's right.
And that's just the way it is.
Other tournament results at 120 pounds at King of the Mountain. Carter Dybert of Franklin Regional, he wins the title. He defeats Ben Mon of Cumberland Valley in the final.
Yeah, this was I was really excited for this match here because Ben Mon has a win over Dylan Chappell for Seneca Valley, and obviously Dybert and Chappell had some nice matches last year, including one in the state finals. So this was a good test for Carter to see where he was at. He gets the 6-3 win over Ben Mon, so I'm sure that's a good confidence boost for him, especially at a deep weight class like 120 here.
126 was also very deep, and Finn Sullivan of Franklin Regional ends up coming out on top. He defeats returning state champion Jackson Arrington of Forest Hills in the final. Yeah,
that was probably the premier match of the finals of the tournament is Finn Sullivan against Jackson Arrington. They actually wrestled at the King of the Mountain last year with Finn winning that. But Jackson, of course, went on to win a state title, so and Finn was a runner-up. So very, very good matchup here. But nice win by Finn, especially a guy who we didn't see at the Eastern area. So his first match wrestled was against Penn Trafford. So this was a nice early season meeting for him.
You look at 132 pounds and a WPIAL with a pair of place winners, and they wrestle each other. Garrett Thompson of Franklin Regional in 7th place. He defeats Jimmy Baxter of Canon-McMillan by fall.
Yeah, these two wrestled twice in this tournament with Garrett Thompson getting the win both times. But Jimmy Baxter, I think he's having trouble up at 132. I mean, that's a big kind of weight change for him from last year. So I think he's still getting adjusted to wrestling up a few weights.
138, Burrell's Ian Oswalt finishes in 2nd place. He drops a 7-1 decision in the finals to Riley Bauer of Williamsport.
Yeah, Riley Bauer had a great tournament, finishing ahead of some really tough guys, including Ian Oswalt. So it was a nice win for him. Ian's a guy who I think we're probably going to see down at 32, but I think this was a good test for him against some AAA competition such as Riley Bauer.
145 pounds, Mason Spears of Franklin Regional in 4th place. Gabe Stafford of Canon-McMillan in 5th place, and Mikey Zakar of Thomas Jefferson in 7th place. Also Chris Beatty of Chartiers Valley in 8th. So WPIAL fully loaded here at 145 pounds.
Yeah, and you look at 145, Mason Spears is leading the charge here. I thought he was going to finish third here against Trevor Wynant, but he ended up getting pinned by him. Two very, very good wrestlers here in the finals. Gage McClanahan, who was injured all of last year. If you remember, he was a state runner-up as a sophomore. Kenny Kaiser, of course, was a state runner-up last year. So these are two highly ranked guys. Spears did do well at fourth. Stafford, I thought, was probably the most impressive one here from Canon-Mac. I was really excited to see him as a freshman coming into this lineup because he's a huge component to how well they're going to do as a dual team, the Big Macs are, because he's as a freshman, he's going to have a lot of good guys at 145, and clearly, finishing ahead of Mikey Zakar and Chris Beatty from Chartiers Valley places him in that conversation.
152 pounds, Tanner Rohaley of Canon-McMillan finishing fourth place.
Yeah, he injury defaulted to Jackson Spires in that match, but this was another tough weight class. You had Eric Gibson and Antonio Petrocelli from O&J Roberts, so two state medalists from last year. Rohaley finishing in fourth behind Spires. I think he's got to get healthy, but definitely a good tournament for him.
160, AJ Corrado of Burrow in third place. He beats Brendan Finnerty of Thomas Jefferson for third. Finnerty drops a 2-1 overtime loss, and Gavin Beck of Franklin Regional finishing in sixth.
Yeah, and Corrado had a tough loss to Connor Quinn from O&J Roberts, so I know he probably would have liked to be in that finals match. Again, I don't know. I mean, he looks like a full-size 60-pounder. I don't know if we're going to see him stay there or not, but he had a tough one with Finnerty from TJ in tiebreaker. So Finnerty, I think, is another one who's going to have kind of a breakout performance this year. Gavin Beck, I was impressed with him because he did not have a good Eastern area whatsoever. I was not impressed with him there, but he had a really good tournament here at the King of the Mountain to bounce back. So, kind of like Stafford before at 45, I'm excited to see some of these freshmen go up against these seniors.
170 pounds. Talk about another freshman. Matt Furman of Canon-McMillan has a good tournament, finishing in third place. Tony Zona of Penn Trafford in sixth. Brian Finnerty of Thomas Jefferson in seventh.
Yeah, I was super impressed with the Canon-Mac young guys here. Again, Matt Furman he had a decent Cumberland Valley kickoff tournament. Nothing earth-shattering, but he finished third behind Trey Kibe, who's a state finalist or state champion, and Lance Urbis from State College, who is pretty tough in his own right. So Furman finished ahead of Matt Collegiesi from Council Rock South, who was a state qualifier last year. So clearly Furman's in that mix. We didn't get to see a ton of him at the Surge because it was a tough bracket he was in. But I think Furman's, again, he's a huge component to this lineup and how well Canon-Mac's going to be, something we're going to see this Friday against some of these tough competition.
Yeah, we'll get to that just a little bit later. 182 pounds, Garrett Ninehouse of Canon-McMillan. He rolls through this tournament and wins his finals by fall in dominating fashion.
Yeah, he didn't even make it out of the first period in any of these matches. He gets a pin in the first period in all his matches. So it looks like Garrett Ninehouse is just picking up where he left off from last year, just rolling through the competition.
195, Cole Whitmer of Trinity bounces back from his struggles last weekend. He finishes in second place. Tyler Rohaley in fourth place out of Canon-McMillan. Richard Feroci of Burrow in seventh, and Tristan Alava of Thomas Jefferson in eighth.
Yeah, the story here for me is Rohaley Tyler. He doesn't really wrestle a whole lot last year, and he comes back this year and has a good showing at 195 pounds. So I'm excited to see him because, again, these are the guys in the Canon-Mac lineup that are going to determine how good they're going to be, right? It's the Tyler Rohaley's, it's the Matt Furmans, the Gabe Staffords. These are the guys, Costa Moores, that are going to have to pick up some bonus points and not give up some bonus points. So for him to take fourth here at 95, not a bad tournament.
220 pounds, Evan Miller of Canon-McMillan in third place. Josh Sharasnik of Chartiers Valley in seventh. Michael Shearer of Burrow in eighth.
Yeah, another good showing here for Evan Miller, Canon-Mac finishing in third, ahead of Nathan Taylor from Brookville, some other guys. So, yeah, again, good showing for Canon-Mac.
And finally, Canon-Mac at 285, GMR Ramos finishes in fifth place.
Yeah, I was surprised by this. I thought he would probably finish third in this one. He kept it close with Colby Whitehill from Brookville, who's a state champion. I think it was like 2-0 he lost to him, but then he had a couple head-scratching losses. He probably shouldn't have lost to Mundis from CV, Cumber Valley. So Ramos, unlike his teammates here, he's got to perform better than that.
We talk a lot about Canon-Mac, and we'll be talking more about them here in a little bit, but Burrow always comes into this one and maybe performs good, but not to the level of expectation they want to be at. However, in this tournament, one thing I noticed, a couple of guys getting on the medal stand in the heavier weight classes. That's where Burrow typically struggles, is in those heavier weights. But you get Feroci at 195 on the medal stand, you get Shear at 220 on the medal stand, and they're typically strong in the lighter weights. So they have guys who can step in, usually most times, and do well. So this is a good sign here for Burrow.
Yeah, and they're still banged up, too. I mean, we haven't seen Trent Vlauchek in the lineup yet. There's some other guys that are a little dinged up right now, so I think it is promising to see them finish, at this tournament, finish 12th, right behind Council Rock South. Canon-Mac ran away with the team title, 189 to 181 that Mifflin County had, so I was impressed with Canon-Mac, and Garrett Ninehouse obviously was a big part of that.
Another tournament over this past weekend was the Panther Holiday Classic, and North Allegheny a participant there, and they had the champion at 106 pounds, Nick Gorman, and he did it in dominating fashion with a tech fall in the finals.
Yeah, when we were talking about Mac Church earlier, and you were saying how good can he be, I was thinking about a guy like Nick Gorman here, really, really solid wrestler. Maybe not the accolades that Mac Church has, but Nick Gorman is just a stud. Not the deepest weight class at 106 pounds at the Panther Holiday, but Gorman comes out and he dominates. He gets a tech fall in the finals.
120 pounds, Dylan Coy joins his teammate as he wins by major decision to win the title. Luke Gabig of Mount Pleasant, he gets in fourth place.
Yeah, Dylan Coy, man, I was really excited to see him get back in action. We saw him at the Surge. He's a guy who last year probably would have been in the contention for a medal at States, but he missed weight in the postseason. So I think Coy is kind of on a mission this year to prove to people that he belongs, and clearly, like Nick Gorman before him, finishing 9-0 in the finals, I think he's making a statement.
126, Damian George of Mount Pleasant. He gets a big win in third place at 126. He beats Suds Dubler of Glendale for third. Nathan Monteparty of North Allegheny finishing in sixth place.
Yeah, I feel like Damian George has been around for 6 years. Do you kind of agree with that?
Absolutely.
I just feel like, I've seen his name for so long. He's probably got well over 100 wins in his career. I'll have to look at his career record. But George, yeah, that's a big win for him against Suds Dubler, who's up quite a few weight classes. But, Suds is he's really good. And Monteparty from North Allegheny, he's up a few weight classes, but he performed well for North Allegheny to help them clinch that team title.
138 pounds, Max Stediford of North Allegheny finishing in second place. Drops a loss to Caden Cassidy of Bedford. No disappointment there. Cassidy is a stud, but good tournament overall for Stediford.
Yeah, a really good tournament for him. Again, these North Allegheny guys came to battle, finishing ahead of some good guys. And Nate Yeagle from McGuffey finished in sixth place there. I was impressed with some of the McGuffey guys.
He ends up injury defaulting in that 5th, 6th place match. 145 pounds, Fred Junko finishes in 4th place for North Allegheny.
Yeah, Junko's a guy who recently committed to VMI. He's a guy who, I feel like has been around for a very long time. He hasn't made it to the state tournament yet, so I know that's his goal this year is to get to that tournament in Hershey. And Junko finishing in a good weight class, 4th place, not a bad performance.
152, Grant McKay of North Allegheny. He is a champion as he wins 4-3 in the final over Brooks Gable.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the way he competed, especially in his first real big tournament. I still really want to see him against some WPIAL guys because 152 in the WPIAL is so deep. If you look at the rankings, it's so deep when you look at 52, and he beat Brooks Gable from Dallastown, who was a state qualifier last year. So clearly, and again, I don't think 52 was the deepest weight class, but for him to come away with the championship title there, very impressive, and I can't wait to see him compete against some of these really tough WPIAL guys, because you look at guys like Dan Yetsick, Vlasnik, Enzo Meraki, Jack Pletcher. I mean, there's so many tough guys here at 52. He's going to have his work cut out for him, but I think he can hang.
Also at 152, Rocco Ferraro of McGuffey finishes in 7th place. At 160 pounds, Ethan Barr of McGuffey, he finishes in 4th place. And then also at 195 pounds, Nick Marcinelli of North Allegheny, he finishes in 3rd place. One guy who did not get a chance to be on the podium, Dayton Pitzer of Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, Pitzer's a little banged up. I'm not sure the exact extent of the injury, but I do know it's going to limit him at least for the beginning part of the year. I'm hoping that it's not something that we're going to see him out for the entire year, but he obviously would have made a big impact here. But I was impressed with Marcinelli from North Allegheny, who finished in 3rd place, kind of a more of a deep weight class with Linkerhoff and Hunsinger. But Marcinelli's another key piece of that North Allegheny lineup.
Do you think with Pitzer's injury, do we know what the extent of it is?
I don't know the extent of that injury, so I can't really say whether how bad it's going to be.
Let's hope the best for him, because he's a guy who could be a potential 4-timer as he goes into his sophomore campaign. 285 pounds, Ben Grafton of North Allegheny, you mentioned him as well. He finishes in 2nd place.
Yeah, good performance for him. Again, not the deepest weight class, but he did finish ahead of guys like Marvin Beatty, Matt Yanko, and Max Yanko was able to get a fall over him. But good tournament overall for North Allegheny, who really, I mean, they kind of ran away with it. 232.5 to 181. Glendale was 2nd. So North Allegheny clearly head and shoulders above the rest of the competition here.
The Armstrong Winter Classic also this past weekend, not a lot of notable results as they kind of pulled the wrestlers together just to get them some matches. Anything noteworthy that you noticed in this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I thought some guys like Vinny Citrano did well. He kind of dominated. One match that I thought was interesting was Eli Reese from knocked off DJ Moring from McKeesport, who I had talked about last week, top 10 guy in the state. He beat him 10-8 in sudden victory. So definitely a setback for Moring, but a nice win for Reese, who's been a regional qualifier, but not much more than that. So I think this is a good step for him.
As far as duels over the last few weeks, or this past week, nothing noteworthy per se. A couple of matches we did highlight. Just want to let you know, Franklin Regional did knock off Penn Trafford, and Kiski Area also knocked off Norwin. Not too surprising by either one of those results, but that section is always so tough.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're going to see those guys battle for those playoff spots now. That match with PT and Franklin Regional, that was a huge match for them with playoff implications on the line. So not a whole lot of dual action. We did have the Moon Duels, which I'm sure we'll talk to head coach Chris Heater from Kiski about a little bit. But, there's not a ton of duels this time.
Yeah, to talk about the duels coming up, not only this past weekend where they were at, but also coming up this weekend. We got the quad meet, I should say, once again. Hempfield, Canon-McMillan, Seneca Valley, Kiski. To talk about all that, we have Kiski's head coach, Chris Heater. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Well, how was the off season, Chris? Everything go well for you guys?
Yeah, it was good. Just trying to, figure out our team and stuff, and who's coming back where, and just I think that's the biggest thing every year is in the off season, seeing where your kids grow and seeing them wrestle and stuff, and just trying to position your team a little bit. But feel like a lot of, especially our better guys that get out and have been wrestling and stuff, I thought they got into a lot of good matches for themselves, so I think it was good.
Was it tough starting the season off without your guys that have been there all 4 years, your Darren Millers, Cam Connors?
Yeah, it was different, we've been experiencing that for the last couple of years, though, being, missing a couple of heavy hitters and stuff starting out each of the, the seasons, and, we really had great leadership from Darren and Cam, and those guys just did such a great job, on and off the mat and stuff. So, again, just trying to figure out the dynamics of our team, minus those two guys. So,
well, one of the, you mentioned the heavy hitters. You got them all kind of bundled up together and around the same weight classes, right? Jack Bloomer, Nick Delp, Sammy Starr, Enzo Morlacki. Has that been a tough dynamic for you to figure out how you get all 4 guys in the lineup?
It has. I mean, obviously, so far we haven't really been able to do it quite yet. I mean, obviously, that's we're moving towards trying to do that. With being at the Eastern area and them accepting extra guys and stuff. I mean, that was important, and it was just nice to be able to get. I put 6 extra guys in it, and 2 of them placed. Even though they didn't score anything for us, they were able to place and get some good matches. So I really like. The fact that they were willing to do that. We're going to do that with the Westmoreland County tournament this year. We're going to put extras in. I mean, the last 3 or 4 years we haven't had full weight classes, so we're looking to do the same thing in that tournament this year to fill that up. I think it's good for the sport right now.
Most definitely. And you mentioned the log jam, and you do plan on getting all 4 of them in. Is the plan to maybe get Enzo down? Is that the best way to get them all 4 into the lineup?
Yeah, it's good. It's going to be one of them. Hopefully, it's either going to be Enzo or Sammy's going to be down at 47, and the other one will be at 52, and then with Bloomer and Delp right above him, and Jared Curcio, who was our 38-pounder last year, he's our 82-pounder this year. And then Roskowski's back, and Jack Diltz is back at 220, and Stone Joseph at heavyweight.
And when you look at that lineup, I mean, yeah, you say, well, you lost some heavy hitters, 2 guys that were in the state finals last year, but you still bring back a whole lot. I think a guy like Roskowski is a key component to that. Obviously, what Nick Delp and Jack Bloom are going to get to. Dom Giordano at 126 pounds, I thought he was really good at Eastern area. How are you able to get those other tier guys performing at that level that you need them to?
I mean, it's just, continuing to work on the things that those guys do well and try to, keep moving them forward. And Dom was one match from going to states last year, and he's kind of picked up where he left off last year. It's really kind of the first year that he's done that. And I mean, he's always been kind of a little bit of a step back, and then took him a little bit of time in the beginning. But he's wrestling pretty well out of the gate. His younger brother Antonio at 6 for us is really having a great start to his season. He had 8 wins all last year because he broke his thumb and really didn't start wrestling until January, and kind of was right in the thick of into the team stuff, and that's a tough time of the season to try to start. Everybody else had a big head start on him, and he's 9-1 right now. He's had a really good start to the year. I mean, he already has 1 more win than he had all of last year.
And
so he's come along.
Yet.
Right. So, he's done a good job. Ryan Klingensmith's a good lightweight for us and stuff coming off our junior high team last year. Ryan, brings a lot to us in our lighter weights, and is a guy that we're hoping will really mature as the season goes.
When you look at the team thus far, and as we said, it's early, but you've already had some pretty good matches. You beat Norwin 47-28, which was a really good match. And then at the Moon Duels this past weekend, you really dominated the tournament. The closest match, I believe, was against Connellsville, and that was 42-27. You have to be impressed with how these guys have responded thus far for the season. Yeah,
we kind of talked about the front half of our schedules, was going to be pretty good, for us to, we kind of had to be ready to go, just simply because we were going to see, at the Eastern area, we're going to see, some pretty good individuals in that tournament. I mean, I thought it was pretty good this year with the amount of caliber of individual guys in that tournament. I thought that was a good start. And we saw some good individuals at the Moon Duels, and I did feel like as the day went on, our guys were wrestling better. I thought we were a little sluggish at 8 o'clock in the morning, but we kind of worked through that, and by the time we got to the 5th match of the day and wrestling Connellsville, I thought we wrestled pretty well against them.
Now, and it doesn't really slow down for you, Coach. You got the quad meet coming up here. I love this event. I think everyone in the WPIAL loves it because they get to see 4 of the top teams in the district very early in the season, something that we get to see before Powerade. But you're going to have to wrestle Canon-McMillan and Seneca Valley, but this time in your own gym. Talk about the quad meet and what you're looking forward to.
Well, I mean, again, I mean, it's 4 great teams. We're looking forward to wrestling Seneca Valley again. I mean, they have a really good team. They're well coached. They have a lot of really really tough kids in their lineup. So I mean, certainly going to be a tough match. Coming out of the gate, and on the other mat, Canon-McMillan and Hempfield will be going at it, which is going to be a really good dual meet as well. And then obviously the second round, it'll be us and Canon-McMillan and Hempfield and Seneca. And I think anybody that likes high school wrestling and likes, some high caliber matches and stuff will certainly get their money's worth on Friday. As we mentioned too, we're having our junior high event. There's same thing. There'll be 4 junior high teams there starting at 2:15, and they're going to wrestle 2 matches in front of ours. So I think it's going to be a great environment. I think it's good for wrestling, and obviously it will be a tough night.
No doubt about it. Should be a lot of great matches. How much were the kids excited for it last year, and do you expect the same energy this time around this year?
I think so. I think everybody's looking forward to it, and I think kind of the unique thing about it is that we're all, going to be putting lineups on the mat that we're probably going to be presenting something a little bit different when the team thing rolls around after the 2 pounds is in, and because you're having to wrestle a little bit differently right now with everybody making scratch. So it certainly presents a little bit of a different scenario for everybody.
I guess when you look at it, and that's another great point you brought up, how much different, because you saw these teams obviously in the postseason too, so how much different was it in the postseason as opposed to when you wrestled them in December last year?
I really felt, just speaking for our team, I felt like we were a lot different going into the team competition with some adjustments that we were able to make and a couple guys dropping and I felt like we had tightened up a good bit, and I did feel like we were almost a completely different looking team, and we were wrestling really well at the end of the year and stuff, and I thought we wrestled well at the quad last year and stuff, but I really felt when we kind of wrestled those guys again, we were really kind of feeling our own a little bit. So,
and Coach, how do you always? It's just, I don't know what it is about Kiski, but you're always able to find a way to reload with just really good talent and bring in some guys that and get them up to speed kind of quickly. What is it? Let me ask you this first. What are you looking forward to most about this season? Because I feel like last year, maybe everyone kind of expected you to be up there battling at Hershey with some of the top teams in the state, but this year, I would say that probably isn't the case. It seems like this year you're going to be fighting for a spot in the WPIAL tournament to get to Hershey. What's the different mentality you have this year?
I think you're definitely right. We're really, again, I kind of said it in the beginning, we're really trying to just find out, who we are a little bit, and we're trying to, adjust with some of our new guys and some of our lighter weights. Obviously from the middle of our lineup and up, we have a very familiar looking lineup and stuff, but really from the middleweights down, we have a lot of different guys, and we're still basically with every competition, with every tournament or dual meet and stuff, we're still kind of figuring out who we are and who needs to be where. So, again, I think the 2 pounds will help us like it's going to help other teams. So, just looking forward to seeing these guys kind of grow as the season goes on and just basically compete to the best of their ability and just want an opportunity to get into one of those top 3 spots and earn a spot to Hershey again and I feel like we're definitely one of those top teams.
Well, Chris, we appreciate you taking some time out of your evening to join us today, and we look forward to seeing you on Friday as we come out and cover the quad meet.
Well, looking forward to seeing you guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks to Kiski coach Chris here for joining us. Always a pleasure getting to chat with him.
Yeah, I feel like he's our guest like every other show. I feel like we always talk to Chris Heater. I could talk to him every other show.
I could too.
He's a great ambassador for the sport, and I think I like how he runs things, and I like how he is as a coach and as a person. So really excited every time we have Chris on.
And we mentioned it at the end. Jeff and I will be out there this Friday. We'll be doing a live stream of a couple of duels going on this upcoming Friday. Jeff, how can people watch it?
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. This is going to be a nice event for us to live stream the matches here. So we're going to be streaming the Hempfield versus Canon-Mac match, and then the Kiski Area versus Canon-Mac match at the quad meet on Friday, and it'll be on Rockfin. So similar to before, you can go on to Rockfin, and it's not going to cost you anything. You just have to have a free account on the Rockfin on the channel there, and yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
And we'll keep tabs of the other duel while the other one's going on, just so you have an idea what the scores are, and you can be kept up to date throughout the entire process. But it should be a lot of fun this upcoming Friday. One team that we talked about a couple of weeks back with their head coach Joe Throckmorton, Waynesburg, not going to be there. They're kind of, we talked about a top 5 in AAA, and North Allegheny might be in that mix too. They're kind of the outlier, I think, in number 6 at this point. But they, coming into this, would be a lot of fun to watch against those teams. They got some great news. Wyatt Henson has been cleared for the postseason.
Yeah, it's news I was just able to get here, and Wyatt is officially cleared to compete in the individual and team postseasons for Waynesburg, which is a huge boost for them and for Waynesburg as a team. And
that may solidify their number 1 ranking at this moment.
Yeah, I would say so. It does, but I'm very curious to see how Hempfield does here at the quad meet, right? I'm excited to see how they compete against some really tough competition. So Waynesburg, yeah, they're once they get guys in the lineup where they want them to, and they're going to have a big test this coming weekend at the Beast of the East. They're going to be there with North Allegheny, which I'm super pumped about because you're going to see a lot of freshmen, Mac Church, Rocco Welsh, Grant McKay. You're going to see these guys battle again with some of the top competition. We just saw Rocco and Mac going at it at Ironman with some top competition. So I'm really excited to see, because this is really where you get to see how tough they are, right? Beast of the East, not the level of Ironman, but it's still a really good tournament where you're going to have a lot of good competition.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So we talk about those top 4 teams facing off one another. Waynesburg and North Allegheny kind of on both sides at number 1 and 6. So all 6 teams really getting after it here this coming weekend.
Yeah, a lot of good action here from the top teams, which means the top wrestlers are going at it. So a lot of fun here. And this is even before Powerade, right? We haven't even touched Powerade yet. So it's a good time to be a WPIAL wrestling fan, if you ask me.
Yeah, and you look at, there's obviously some matches going on this week, nothing too noteworthy, but Kiski Area does get a nice little warm-up match against Penn Trafford before coming into Friday.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's Section 1 for you, man. This Section 1 is just it's a meat grinder, right? You got Franklin Regional at Plum, Greensburg-Salem at Gateway, but Hempfield at Latrobe is an interesting one for me. Latrobe is kind of on the maybe on the peripheral, on the outside, but they've got some good guys. They got a couple good freshmen. I'm curious to see how they can hang with Hempfield. So that should be a good one as well.
And then obviously coming up next week, it's hard to believe, but we're going to be doing a Powerade preview come next week.
It's hard to believe. You're right, Greg. I mean, geez, where's the time going? But hey, Powerade's the best time of the year for me, man. I love Powerade, love it. Favorite tournament of the year. So the sooner the better. Right?
Yep, no doubt. And you get a chance to talk a lot about it over Christmas with the family, right? You just get a chance to talk about Powerade all Christmas long.
Yeah, my dad and I, yeah, sure, we'll talk Powerade.
I'm talking about all the families.
No.
All the families listening in. They'll be talking about it.
I mean, yeah, sure, wrestling families will.
Absolutely.
And
that's who listens.
Well, sure. I would hope some people that have a small interest in wrestling would listen to us sometimes, at least for just the guests, like Chris Heater, if he has like a friend.
Yeah, I mean, they're not listening for you.
Really? You don't?
No, absolutely not. They're listening for Chris Heater. They're listening for Joe Throckmorton. They're listening, for
Luke Stout.
Luke Stout. They're Rocco Welsh. Sure, they want to hear those
Not
guys.
Jeff Upson.
Not Jeff Upson. No.
Oh, man, you really just rained on my parade there. No, I'm just kidding. I hope no one listens.
Happy holidays to you, Jeff.
Yeah. No, well, trust me, my own voice is annoying enough in my own head, so I can't imagine what it's like over the airwaves. So, we just really do this to bring on the guests. They are always the highlight, as we said last time. But as we mentioned, a lot of really good wrestling. So the best place to stick to is PA Power Wrestling, right? The Rockfin page is blowing up with video interviews, matches, rankings. We have updated team rankings, updated individual rankings. I do want to make a public service announcement that if you buy or you register on Rockfin for the rankings, you will then view the rankings on the Rockfin account. I know I've had a lot of people that have signed up via Rockfin and then have come back to the PA Power Wrestling site to try to view the rankings that way. You're essentially not going to have to use PA Power to view the rankings once you're on Rockfin. Rockfin will give you the rankings, the posts, the articles, the videos, all in one location. Now, you can still come to PA Power Wrestling for other things that we have on there, but for the rankings purposes, once you're on Rockfin, you essentially just stay on there.
So should people try to sign up in both areas, though, if they're brand new to this?
I mean, if they're brand new to it, they're not going to be able to sign up on PA Power Wrestling for rankings. There is you cannot sign up for rankings on PA Power Wrestling. The only thing that you can use PA Power Wrestling for right now is if you already have an active subscription within the last year. Should you not, though, you're essentially just using Rockfin.
Or if you want some gear, right?
Or, yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's other things on the site,
right,
on PA Power Wrestling. We have other features. We have a lot more in there. We're actually bringing more on. So PAPowerWrestling.com is not dead and gone. We have a lot that's on there still that's not on Rockfin. But for the most coverage you're going to get, you're going to want to go on Rockfin.
And you know what else is not going? Social media. That's not
Social media is not going, man. Not going at all.
Hit the Twitter page. Hit Facebook. We're live and active. And we'll be on it this upcoming Friday as we're streaming live for the big matches coming up at Kiski.
Yep, looking forward to it, Craig.
I want to thank Chris Heater for joining us on the show. For Jeff Upson, I'm Greg Warnock. Thanks for listening in to WarUp on a WPIAL.